Call East Cocalico Township Supervisor meeting to order for February 20th. Please rise and pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please silence your cell phones. As of now, I'd like to present a plaque of presentation to Shaker Patel, the True Hilton. In recognition of all new businesses, we present a plaque signed by each of the supervisors, the police chief, and fire chiefs. I'd like to present this and thank you for building True Hilton.
Thank you.
I put on applause for Shaker. Thank you. We'll continue with Evan Holdeman. He'd like to present an Eagle project to put at Stony Point Park. Evan?
Alright, well, this is a revised plan that I had gone over with the planning committee earlier. Next slide. Alright, that's just a base idea, or base look of what a regular gaga bulkhead would look like. This is not a finalized picture of what it should look like, as I have some other things I looked at. And for those who do not know what a gaga bulkhead is, it is a sport such game where the objective is to hit the ball with your hand into someone else's leg to get them out, and the last person in the pit wins. It is usually a very safe game because the ball that is used bounces and is very squishy, soft, and won't hurt you. The game is usually played by people of all ages, and it can be wheelchair accessible. And most kids in the surrounding area, me being one myself, played the game in Camps Retard back in 5th grade when I schooled to this. The location is to be at the Stony Point Community Park. And then I'm hoping to start sometime in later spring or around late May or June. And then completion is thought to be somewhere in August. The length of the gaga bulkhead will be 20 feet across, which is board to board on each end. And each piece of wood walling will be 2 inches by 12 inches by 8 feet. The wood walling will be 24 inches in height. Some accessories to add to it. There are 2 different styles of gaga bulkhead, and I was thinking of putting a plaque onto the wall or onto the ball holder to show them how, for kids to read how to play and how to play safe. I could add diamond text to the base of the ball, or base of the flooring to help with drainage and or keeping mud from getting in. And then the layer on top would be rubber mulch, which is wheelchair accessible. Materials that would be used would be screws, cement mix, water, wood, nuts and bolts, all the basic materials. And tools that would be used would be shovels, socket wrenches, buckets, screwdrivers, and possibly a coastal digger to put cement into the ground for the brackets to stay in place, but it might not be needed because the brackets would go on top of the cement, so it might only need to be 2 feet. And there's a picture of the key mat. The top picture is a picture of the brackets that will be placed around each corner, and then that bottom picture is rubber wall covering, which adds an extra layer of safety, so if a kid falls back, they won't get hurt by splinters or sharp pieces of wood. It is wheelchair accessible. I found a rubber mulch company online called Rubberscapes. It has been tested and ADA approved for wheelchair use. The positioning of the pit would be depending on where the park would want to put it. And then it's a 24 height octagon design. The top left is representing what it should look like. The wood walling to go around it would probably cost around $188 to $200. The Gaga pit gate installation, which would allow for wheelchair accessibility, is about $350. Ground covering, rubber mulch, and other things like wood chipping to put on the outside to break falls would be around $600 to $700. The complete cost would be around $1,980. And then all the money being spent for the project will be obtained from donations from companies and people that I email and send cards out to. And the money obtained through donations will be held in the scouts, through the scouts, so that the money is secure and not attractive. And then a possible tribute so for all of you who donate, I could put their name on a plaque near the Gaga Ball pit, or have their names carved into a wall to show a thanks for them donating. And then that's just 2 different ways of playing Gaga Ball pit.
Thank you, Evan.
Thanks, Evan.
Any questions of Evan? Any comments?
How big a ball is it? Is it
The
similar to a soccer ball or?
No, the ball is just a little bit smaller than like a regular high school regulation size soccer ball, and it's made of a thin plastic so that they don't get hurt. And it's a very cheap ball. Kids can bring their own type of ball.
Isn't it 8 inches in diameter?
So yeah, it's around 8 inches in circumference.
So they bring the ball with them, and there's no ball, it stays there.
I was thinking the balls, I found actual Gaga balls that could be put into a ball holder, which would be like a starting, because I don't believe that they would stay there. I believe that someone would take them. But you can get free balls for $10, and I would have something there to keep the balls in place and keep them protected from the weather and elements.
Sounds like a good idea. Okay, the motion to authorize Evan Holdeman to erect a Gaga pit in East Cocalico Township Park of the board's choosing, provided the applicant submits all drawings, plans necessary to the satisfaction of the township zoning officer and public works department. You talked to Tony yet? You didn't, did you?
No,
Okay.
he just needs to submit plans, so we'll need
Yeah.
a permit for him.
Yeah, Tony will walk you through the whole thing, no problem.
So,
That's a motion.
I'll second it.
Any comments or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed no, motion carried. You're good. Thank you, Evan.
Thanks, Evan. Nice job.
Thank you.
Okay. Last meeting minutes for approval. Last meeting was February 6th. Any additions or corrections to those minutes? If you want, I need a motion to approve them as presented.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Any comments or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed no, motion carried. Thank you. Chief?
Good evening. The report will be somewhat short, but it does not mean we did not have a busy month with the first retirement and the start of the 2 new officers. I'm happy to report that Logan High will be starting a 3rd new position, I shouldn't say new position, the 3rd new officer on March 1st. He accepted the offer. So he will be starting his training on March 1st. Officer Lead and Officer Van Alt all completed the first portion of their training where they did the CPR, first aid certification, firearms, use of force, that type of thing. So they are on patrol out on the street right now. And Officer Ben Osdall is on day shift and Officer Lee is on nights at this point. On the 29th of January, Officer Walsh did a forensics presentation to one of the high school science classes in the morning. Officer Fisher asked if he'd be willing to do that, so they had a good time over at the high school doing some crime scene type presentations. I did the Survival 101 seatbelt classes on the 27th, 28th, 29th. Excuse me, for the 10th grade health classes. The license plate readers went into service on February 10th. On February 11th, one of the scanners picked up a stolen car on Bill Drive, or actually a stolen truck. So it's already proven very good. We are having I'm sorry?
Any issues with that new technology?
Well, they're running into a little bit of a problem, which we're kind of helping them get through. The Pennsylvania State Police hot list, which has the stolen vehicles and a couple other things on it, is not a long list. And when I say not long, I mean it has 60,000 items on it. But the PennDOT one goes back quite a few years, and it has 8 million items on it. So they are working through, I think we were the third department in the state. So every time they add a department, they're getting a new list of 8 million, which is actually the same list. So they're working with PennDOT on how to not have to download 8 million 3 times a day for each department. So we're helping them and working through that. So they're, I would say, functioning for certain things. We're getting there for the suspended tags and all that kind of stuff as it goes. But it was the first day, and the officer called out a stolen vehicle, parked on the side of the road, confirmed it, and towed the vehicle. So we had 472 calls for service in East Cocalico and 164 in January. We had 12 reportable crashes in East, none in Denver. We had 2 injuries in those crashes, 13 non-reportable, 1 in Denver Borough. 79 traffic citations issued in January, 30 in Denver Borough. 18 warnings, 8 in Denver Borough, 3 parking tickets in each. We had 5 DUI arrests in East, none in Denver Borough. 2 of those were DUI accidents. So again, January is normally a little bit slower month, but I think it's average and steady as it goes. So that's basically my report.
Any questions of the chief?
Excuse me, Chief. I believe the board authorized the chief to make an offer to him.
Yes.
I don't believe we ever mentioned his name though, and so I would like to do that now to officially.
It's Logan High. I guess you guys
So if the board
it-
can make a motion to officially Logan High and his starting date, that would be great.
Good.
March 1st.
March 1st. I'll make a motion, we hire Logan High as officer on March 1st.
Perfect, thank you.
I'll second that.
Any comments or questions? All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you. Thank you, chief. Tony, zoning officer.
Yes, good evening, everybody. You should have a copy of my report. I'll keep it short and sweet, but another busy month here in the township. We did have 19 applications, 17 permits issued, 4 in review, 16 for pickup. We did have 2 more single-family dwelling units, new houses built in the month of January. Busy month for January in the zoning hearing board. We had 3 cases. First case was Matthew and Doreen Grant over on 157 North Line Road. That application was denied. The second case was Curtis L. and Deborah A. Burkholder, looking for a special exception as a home occupation. That was granted with conditions. And the third case was Fretnock Builders LLC came to ask for special exception approval concerning the Red Run Muffler shop over on 272, and that was granted with conditions. We do have 2 new cases for February, or we did have 2 new cases for February. The first one was granted Property Maintenance Incorporated was requesting special exceptions and variances concerning the Wells Fargo property there in Reamstown. That decision is pending. And the second case was Joseph and Sarah Martin. Over on, they have a house over on West Schwartzville Road, and they wanted to get approval for a kennel. And that decision is pending also. Okay, under code enforcement, I'll just highlight a couple of things here. One was, I was called out to 14 Ingham Drive by one of our police officers. The house over there in Ingham Drive has been vacant or somewhat abandoned for quite a few months. Now, there have been people frequenting the place, doors left open, garage door open, so I responded with 2 of our police officers. And a little bit of an inspection there. The water service was shut off several months ago. The electricity is still on in the house, but based on the ordinance, a structure is unsafe for human occupancy if you do not have utilities. So I posted the property, which gives our police department a little bit of a leg to stand on. If anybody is in that property for any reason, including the owners of record, we need to know about it, because nobody should be staying in that house. It's unsafe. So we took care of that. 143 Denver Road. Over the last few months, we've been having some complaints with some of the noise coming from the high concrete facility. They installed a new vacuum system on their sandblasting plant. And when this vacuum system is activated, it emanates a high-pitched noise that the direct occupant of the house across the street at 143 Denver Road can hear this thing. So myself and Ken McCrae went out to validate some of the complaints that we've been getting, and indeed there is a noise that's happening. The township has purchased a decibel meter to measure this and make sure that this is compliant with the ordinance in the light industrial zone. I have followed up with those readings and the recordings with the high concrete facility manager there, and we are working to get that taken care of so that this noise is not driving the people across the street crazy. The next item was, the board remembers last month, or should remember, we had a house fire, residential fire at 65 East Summit Drive. I'm happy to say the community, the Mennonite community, and all the folks that worked on that house got those young people back in their house and a certificate of occupancy issued for just over a little over 6 weeks. And there was quite a bit of damage in the house, mostly smoke, and the fire departments took care of it rather quickly, which I'm happy to say. Nobody got hurt, but again, extensive smoke damage, a lot of electrical work, but those people are back in their home, safe and sound. And the last item, our zoning hearing board alternate member, Mr. Kurt Russell, had accepted the position, and he'll be at the March zoning hearing board meeting. That will be his first hearing. And that's all I have for now, unless you have any questions.
Anybody have questions of anyone else?
Doug Mackley. Tony, the properties along East Church Street, say 65 to 85 or something like that. Those properties back up to land that is owned by the township. And in the past, and I think it's still happening, I'd like you to confirm it, stories of personal property of their own on the township property.
I know what you're talking about, Doug. I believe you mean 65 to 80 West Church Street.
Yeah, I said east, I meant west, you're right,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, we dealt with those properties before, as you know, Doug. The township had gotten the property surveyed several years ago. And we had some people with swimming pools on township property, trailers, cars, doing that type of thing. Letters were sent out to all of these property owners, and most of them have complied. In fact, I'll do a run-by to see if there is anything there now. But in the past, we had a problem with a lot of automotive repairs at one particular residence, as you know. But the township did have several of the residents there had sheds on township property, and they were gracious and they moved them. So we should be pretty compliant, but I'll double check on that tomorrow and see where we're at. Like I said, I haven't been out there in the last couple of weeks, so I can't give you an accurate answer. Thank you.
Any other questions of the officer? Okay, thank you, Tony.
Yep, you are.
Roadmaster will report via the next meeting. Authorize the bills.
Yeah, the list of bills this month.
Total general fund, $193,739.97. Total state fund, $1,077.59. Total light fund, $13,274.13. And total traffic impact fee fund, $840. Any questions?
I'll make a motion to go to favor.
And I will second that.
Any comments or questions? All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no. Motion is carried. Thank you. Planning. Mr. Lee.
Two items on the agenda. The first item is a little different than what we've dealt with recently. It involves the urban and village growth boundaries, which are a planning tool utilized by municipalities to kind of identify their intended areas of development and direct majority of development within those areas and coordinate utility services with the zoning that accommodates the development. A while back, the township, I guess it would have been March 7th of 2019, approved the zoning change for some parcels over near Stevens, generally referred to as the Grable Zimmerman tracts, for majority of which was rezoned to industrial. A portion of it was rezoned to traditional residential. And that was at the request of the applicants and reviewed by the county and considered by the Township Planning Commission and ultimately approved by the board. In conjunction with that, the applicant, Mr. Zimmerman, had approached the township just to confirm would there be any issues with providing the utility services there. I think at the time the properties were rezoned, it's generally acknowledged that the intent was that they be available for development. One of the policies of the authority, East Cocalico Township Authority, is to be in step with the township and not extend their services to parcels that are outside of what would be considered the intended growth areas. So anytime you adopt a change to a zoning district that incorporates additional opportunity for development, there can be a second step to kind of tidy things up from an overall planning standpoint, which would be to amend the urban growth boundary to then correspond with that. And that step could be done several ways. You could wait to a more comprehensive or a more elaborate redo of the overall regional comprehensive plan and roll it into that type of activity. You could also proceed with an amendment to the growth boundary through a process which Tom Goodman has outlined to the township, which requires giving notice to all the other regional municipalities that participated with the comprehensive plan, ultimately soliciting comment from the county planning commission, the township planning commission, and then put back to you for ultimate approval. And then there'd be a possibility of a third step, which is kind of an interim quick fix solution, which is just to confirm, have the authority confirm that it is your intent, that the township confirm that it is your intent that utilities be allowed to be extended to serve the development of those areas. And that way the authority has the message, understands the township's intent. And it's very common that the growth boundaries correspond with the limits of industrial, commercial, and your higher density residential boundaries. So the applicant, rather than letting this issue linger and then come to the forefront when he proposes some type of development, was trying to be proactive and approaching the township and saying, can we get some confirmation so I don't pursue opportunities and then run into a snag because the authority would say our policy is not to extend out, go to the township, confirm. So the township authority did consider the matter. A written request was submitted by the applicants, Mr. Weaver and the Grabels. And the authority board did consider the matter at their last meeting on February 13th, and I think a correspondence was distributed, dated today, confirming that the authority, you kind of have to work together. You don't want to offer the services if the authority can't provide it, they don't want to provide them if you don't want them extended. So this correspondence more or less is advising you that they would be willing to serve it and able to serve it. But obviously, they can't automatically guarantee capacity forever, but their general statement is if it is your interest, they would be available to serve it and to do so. So that brings it back to you. So the request of the applicant would be that you pass some type of motion to more formally acknowledge that if they were to pursue development, that they would not have a glitch in coordinating utility service. The other option you would have is, as I kind of indicated, would be to go through a more elaborate process of amending and updating the urban road boundary, notifying adjacent municipalities, soliciting comment, and then adopting, announcing a hearing and adopting a change. The township solicitor is satisfied with both approaches for the time being. So if there's any more specific questions, the suggested motion, as I handed out, that was developed after receiving the authority's letter today. I can read it just as an example of what it would be, and you can consider it would be a motion to authorize the East Cocalico Township Authority, ECTA, to provide service to the Zimmerman and Grable properties, which were rezoned by the township as part of the adoption of Ordinance 2019-01 on March 7, 2019, and thereby allow public water and sanitary sewer service to be extended outside the current urban and village growth boundaries at the developer's expense and in accordance with all applicable ECTA rates, rules, and regulations in order to serve future development projects on these specific properties.
Makes sense to me. You can't rezone somebody and then say there's no water and sewer there.
Yeah. But we were rezoning, we should have changed the road boundaries too.
Never too late, is it?
No. So 6 to 1, half to the other.
What are your thoughts?
What are your thoughts, Mercy?
I agree with what Jeff said. Can't be zoned, never have an intent to supply water and sewer.
Yeah, those discussions occurred at the time of the zoning consideration was that no sense rezoning something if there isn't an ability. So it's really just another step of confirming what was essentially acknowledged at that time.
In this situation then, we're serving outside the growth boundaries, technically.
Technically, right. The clear difference, if somebody says, well, is this going to open, the concern is this is going to open the door to extend beyond the growth boundary. I would say no. That the issue is that these are lands that are zoned consistent with all the land that's in the growth boundary. And that it's a way of confirming the intent. When you rezone the property, it was the intent to provide those services. If you read the industrial zoning district requirements, it says areas intended to be served by public facilities or in close proximity. So,
But it is unique.
it has some unique aspects, yeah.
What's the wish of the board?
Would you rather look at to extend the boundaries first?
Yes, I would not. Yeah, because it's,
Go through the process.
yeah, that's my opinion, but if you think it's okay, then go on with it.
I think the intent would be to have it, to approve it, but let's go through the process first. That's your thought process.
That's my thought process.
Yeah, I think it makes sense either way. The formality of it, I'm all right.
When it's more of the growth boundary, wouldn't it make it more desirable when you want to sell it though, too?
I think either one would satisfy most applicants that would be interested in developing, having the municipality acknowledge our willingness to serve it through a motion, and the authority acknowledging their willingness. And these options were discussed with the group, including the county planning commission, the applicants, the authority, township staff. So if that process is to be initiated, I think there has to be a clear understanding who's initiating it. Is the board asking the applicant to proceed and accomplish that, or is the board saying it's a township item, the township will take it on? And I think the applicant saw it as this is a quicker fix to the solution to get some type of confirmation, as opposed to the more elaborate process of having to advertise hearings, notify adjoining property owner or municipalities, and coordinating with the township solicitor. So whatever your wishes are,
You feel more comfortable going through the process.
Yeah, I would feel more comfortable going through the process.
Yeah, I'm all right with that. It'll draw it out a little bit, we're not holding anybody up, we're not.
no, I think this conversation confirms the general intent to keep it moving forward, and reconfirming what your actions previously had been conveyed. I think the only issue that when we respond back to the applicant in terms of your decisions is understanding who's taking the lead and who's incurring the cost to proceed with the process.
So who's proceeding? Is the applicant to proceed with
Applicant
that
should proceed.
at his cost?
Yeah.
That requires a different motion.
That's
It's a different motion.
Do you think it requires a motion
I
at
don't
all?
know that it requires a motion. If we regroup with the applicant and it's determined that some formal action or Tom Goodman would like you to acknowledge it in a different way, he has outlined the process that's involved in prior correspondence, which I think you have. So, and that has been shared with the applicants, so they were aware of that. So we'll go back to them and discuss it.
Thank you.
I'll share with you. The second item relates to a small project, a stormwater small project application that I think the last meeting we had one or two there. And this is just authorizing you to sign the stormwater management easement agreement, which is the document which the applicant signs and the township signs and gets recorded to permanently acknowledge the need to maintain and preserve the stormwater facility. So this is related to a property owned by Craig and Stacy Herb, 15 Frederick Avenue. Permitting was already handled, small project review completed. So the motion would be to authorize the board of supervisors to sign the stormwater management easement agreement related to the Craig and Stacy Herb stormwater management small project application as prepared by the township solicitor, executed by the applicant, and submitted to the township.
Is anybody here representing that plan?
I did not expect.
Okay, I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, any comments or questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Park and Rec Board appointment, Tara Erkinger, for a term expiring 12/31/2021. I don't see her here tonight. So the motion be to appoint Tara K. Eckinger to the East Cocalico Township Park and Recreation Board with a term set to expire on December 31st, 2021. I'll make that motion.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Any comments or questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you. Old business, pedestrian crossing Denver Road at High Concrete.
I sent them an email along with that information on the embedded lights, and
Yeah.
I have not heard anything back to this point.
Emergency service, new radio discussion update.
Gentlemen, have anything?
Anybody?
No update at this time. The Kenwoods still have not come in to be tested.
Okay.
We'll put you on for next.
That would be fair. They keep telling us next week, so we got to see answer yet.
They didn't say what year yet.
No.
MS4 discussion, Ken.
Yes, not a screen before you, I think you had it in your packet there. To look at the possibility of doing some conversion of mowed areas into something on the order of a wildflower meadow. Something not to be just letting people not mow their grass anymore, but to specifically pleasing with really two major benefits. One is the expense of mowing. The township has a mowing contract that's out for in excess of $10,000 a year, and that's only a portion of the mowing. Their own road crew does a significant amount of mowing on top of that. And eventually, I went out with the roadmaster and looked at various township parks and township-owned land, and there's probably about 4 acres of ground that's currently being mowed that isn't really necessary to be kept in lawn. And a lot of it were areas along the edges of some of the parks, along the pool, the tennis courts, where there's some steep ground, small spaces, or you have to mow in between trees, and it takes a lot of extra time to do that. So by converting to a wildflower meadow, which was something that would either be mowed once or twice a year, it would include flowers that bloom at different seasons of the year, so that there'd always be, at least most of the year, there would be something flowering there, obviously not in the winter. And that also ends up reducing pollution, the water pollution, and would give us some MS4 pollution reduction credits, because the meadow doesn't require fertilization or weed killer or insect killer or other things, which when you fertilize lawn, they tend to, people tend to apply too much and it runs off and gets into the streams. And also there's a current push underway both by the state and a lot of other groups to try to help out pollinators, the honeybees, other insects that pollinate crops and wild plants, to help support them because they're under attack from pesticide overuse and various other things. Honeybee populations have gone down significantly. So this would be a way to get at that. This is just for discussion. There are things that need to be considered. There are provisions in the existing ordinances that I think would allow this to happen now, but it would probably be a good idea to do this if you had some regulations or guidelines on what counts and what doesn't.
The only caveat I have, the mowing contract is 3 years, so we have 2 more years of the mowing contract.
Right. When you set up a wildflower meadow like this, to get it started, it may need to be mowed a couple of times in the first year, so there is maintenance that needs to go on while it's becoming established. And that's probably, wouldn't be as many mowings as would have been under the original contract, but there may be other things that could be done by the same people.
Okay. Yeah, I had a couple just concerns that I discussed with Ken about the idea, from a safety standpoint, with parks and kids there, the overgrowth, would that get to be some kind of a safety issue to the kids there? Something to think about anyway. I don't know, Chief, what your thoughts are there.
We talked in through that email about the fishing park on West Church Street, but I think for our purposes, with it being that grade, that the road is higher than the park, that it's going to be difficult for somebody to hide in there, if you will. So we should still be able to see into that park.
And it would still need to be mowed at least once a year, because if you don't mow it once a year, you'll start getting shrubs and tree seedlings and stuff coming up, and that you control by mowing.
You were looking to extend that out to Old Homestead?
Yeah, the areas that Chris Flory and I went out and looked at were some of the area around the township building, the area around the pool, the Fishing Creek Park, and Old Homestead Park. At Old Homestead, the area that we looked at is primarily on the steep slopes behind the fields that are being used, areas that, according to Chris, they're difficult to mow because they're very steep. And so it would save more time than just the area would suggest because of the areas we're taking out of grass are difficult to mow, and more time consuming.
I guess my general thought process would be to just kind of go at it slow, not go all in with
Right.
every piece, just to
The,
give it a year's trial, see what the feedback would be from the
Right.
residents in the park, if they like the idea or they see problems.
right, the plan I was thinking of is in the first year, this year, only do the area along the road in Fishing Creek Park and not any of the others. It turns out there is actually funding to do this because it does have the water quality improvements under the MS4. There are actually grants. If we wanted to start doing this, that we could do it for close to no cost.
Yeah, I think, again, I'd just kind of like to see that go through the rec board. They're in charge of making recommendations in the township parks. I think as a courtesy that, you know, it ought to go to them and let them have some input in it as well. So,
And that would have the potential to save maybe $4,000, $5,000 a year on mowing. Just establish
is that contract renegotiated?
I don't know if the contract is negotiable or not. Have to look at it.
Well, it wouldn't be in the first year we try it, because the Fishing Creek Park, I think, is one of the areas that the township mows. It's not an area that
Yeah,
they
that's what I think.
mowed under contract.
Yeah. Any questions for Ken? Thank you. Fire company working groups.
Happy to report that we do have our first meeting set up, and it's going to be March 5th at 5 o'clock. At that meeting, we will decide what day and time to have the rest of the meetings, and this will be public. This first one will not be a public meeting. So we're just going to be laying down some ground rules this first meeting, so we'll see all you guys that evening. Report on that.
New business, Stony Point tree removal discussion.
Yeah, I thought Chris was gonna bring this up again, under his, just about the ash trees, you know, through there. But he said that he was going to look into some more quotes for that, so that's all I have on that.
You know, at what point does that removal, you know, we got a chipper, this would get to be too much for our guys.
There was a bunch that were dead last year. we
Yeah, I
talked
think they
about.
said at least
I think-
25,
And then there's a
25 trees
large
in
number.
question.
Yeah.
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 And the ones, well, we have a bunch in 68 Green Road park there, and they're big trees, so it's beyond the capability of.
That's why I wondered if this was the right spot for them. There's no wires, no nothing back there they could
I
get
don't know. I'm sure
tangled up in.
Well, we had a pretty good, busy road season coming up, and I don't know time from that, I mean, I don't know, we'd have to talk
Yeah.
about.
I think it'd be worth asking.
Yeah.
Because we have some equipment there used for that. Anyway.
Okay, manager's report.
And first thing we have is the Lancaster County Conservation District is going to hold their annual banquet, and that is going to be on March 19th, 2020, and that is going to be at 6:15 p.m. We do have a board meeting that evening, but at this annual banquet, they do recognize one farmer every year in all of Lancaster County, and this year they are honoring our supervisor, Mr. Mitchell. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So I would like to request that the board change the meeting time from 7 p.m. to 9 a.m. that morning, so we can all attend and support our supervisor.
It's a pretty big honor, I don't have a problem doing that.
Very big honor.
If I could take a motion.
Okay, make a motion to change the advertised Board of Supervisor meeting of March 19th from 7 p.m. to 9.
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Any comments? Any comments,
Any
questions?
questions?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no, motion carried, thank you.
I wasn't gonna be at an evening meeting there no matter what anyways.
The next item I have on the agenda on my report is the Cocalico School District. We met on February 10th with the Cocalico School District. They have built a fuel island, and they are contracting out with the other schools and fire companies, our police department, to all share in the cost of getting fuel and fueling from them. Currently, we are paying anywhere between $2.09 a gallon up to $2.74 a gallon for 87 octane. Right now, the school price would be $2.02. Our diesel rate, we're paying approximately $3.42 a gallon, and the school price would be $2.12. So there is an agreement that was sent. We don't have to act on this agreement tonight. I would like to take some more time to review that. I did, our solicitor, Mr. Goodman, did review it. He had a couple of different points he wanted myself and our public works department and the chief to review to make sure we were comfortable with all of that. He also said it would need an intergovernmental cooperation agreement needs to be adopted by a resolution. So I questioned the advertising. Since we're going off the book, if we would have to advertise, and he said no, because it's a state advertising, we're already covered by that. So give some time to get a resolution together and put this on the next meeting. I assume you want to go with this, correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
we did a little background on this. You know, the police force, the road crew, they're all tax exempt on the fuel they use, but we've been paying tax for quite some time. You know, just as an example, our current price $3.42 on some of the recent last bills per gallon for the diesel fuel. Without the tax, the school district's offering it at $2.12. So, you know, way more than $1 a gallon we'd be saving going with that. You know, that's thousands of dollars in a calendar year. It makes perfect sense. The other thing, gentlemen, I was talking to Chris about, in conjunction with moving to gathering the fuel up over at the school, he currently uses something like a 20-gallon portable tank to move fuel around out to equipment that's on the site. And he did a little research on this, that if we were to get him a 100-gallon or so tank, that he would legally be able to transport fuel from the school facility to the maintenance shed or wherever he wants to go. It makes a lot more sense when they're going over there to get a quantity rather than a couple cans full plus filling up the tank. So, you know, he was putting together cost estimates on that. You know, I think a lot of them were in the $800 neighborhood to get a tank of, you know, professional grade that would be suitable for that. And, you know, I think we ought to move forward with that thought process too, just to, you know, make more efficient use of the time and get more done every trip over there.
That's the ones that put in the back of the van.
Yes, yes, yeah. You know, you can, legally, it's somewhere right in the 100-gallon neighborhood, and you can purchase tanks of that size. And
They're pretty standard.
yes, you see a lot of them out there. So, you know, he was all on board with that idea.
And I believe he's gathering costs.
Yes, he was putting some estimates together. So we'll be able to look at that in the future, but just as informational to the board and the public as well. So.
Good, thank you.
The next item I have on the agenda, I'm going to combine the next two, which is Park and Recreation meeting updates along with the Stony Point Park update. I was going to review this, but Mr. Wellman asked if he could.
Well, go ahead and give your recommendation.
Well, I see you have your whole crowd here.
For those of you who have not met us, I'm Jim Wellman, I'm the president. Ed McManus is the vice president. Eli Saints is our treasurer. Member at large is Heather Clevenger, and our secretary is Steve Brubaker. The Park and Rec Board decided that we should end this project. Well, I talked with our members, and we decided, well, hey, why don't we just extend it a year? There's no reason for us to have to end it. And that was the decision last night, and the decision this morning, I found out that we're no longer going to go that way. We're ending the project. So that leaves us with two options that we have to do. My understanding is that the funds that are still available for building the playground run about $60,000-ish. We collected $23,000, and my suggestion is to take the two funds together and to purchase prefabbed playground equipment and put it on site. Penny, could you put up that? Now this is only one website I looked at, and they actually make, that's what they do. There are dozens of them in here. One was called Amish Company. There's so many of them that make wood products.
Superior Plan?
Huh?
The other one, catalog or Superior Plan?
No, the link, the URL link. The superiorplay.url.
I'm
And,
not connected to internet here, so,
oh well,
yeah. Sorry.
that's okay. This place has had problems with internet for forever. I've given this to Penny so that she can disperse it to the board. So we're going to meet on first Monday of next month and go ahead and go through the process of getting our funds back. What your decision is whether or not we want to go with the wooden things. You guys can decide what playground equipment, or you can defer it to the Park and Rec Board. And I need to talk to our donor to see if they're amenable to using that fund to create playground equipment.
So, now, you have about 23,000, that was what that check amount was?
Yeah, that was
the
that.
donation.
And we have some cash.
And you have some cash? Okay.
Eli, do you know how much?
23,500.
500.
So, the cash that's in there was from people throwing dollars and everything in the Denver Fair.
And you just mentioned 60,000, so
Well,
where's the other 40 coming from?
That's from the park,
From what part?
from the township, because they were promised $100,000
For the Stony Park project.
Right. So approximately 60,000 of that, I believe, is still left. And then that money plus our donor's money, that would be $83,000, which could be used to develop, prepare the land, put down the rubber mulch, and put up the equipment. And a lot of these companies will build it for us. We don't have to go out there and do it.
Well, there's a couple things to do. First of all, your Park and Rec Board will have to make that recommendation to the Board of Supervisors. Yeah, $100,000 is specifically for that community build. That's a decision you're gonna have to make if you wanna let that 60,000 in, I'm sure you wanna contribute, I don't know what you're thinking, decisions that you'll have to think about. But this whole process should really go before the Park and Recreation Board first, so they can make a recommendation to the board.
Right.
So, okay.
Well, like I said, it was a grand idea. It'd be something that would have been nice to do, but again, it's probably not the right place or location to put it in.
So, hats off to,
I'm sorry about that.
this whole group put in
They put a lot of time.
hours and hours and hours, and
Over 800 hours.
we
Yes.
just, they hit some major snags.
And that money, the hours equate to $20 an hour towards DCNR, so that's 16,000 that we would have been able to put towards the DCNR on our course, the fundraising. So, I mean, it's been a lot of work.
You
And
could
it's,
use that on your match.
huh?
You could use that on your match.
Exactly. And it's just not this year or last year, it's 2018-17 when it was discussed originally in the Park and Rec. So this has been a project a long time going, and unfortunately, we just can't get anywhere with it. Now with Foresight, the bad news is we're coming into a situation where our federal tax ID verification will be probably completed in 3 months. Yeah. So, shooting ourselves in the right foot. We're a member of the Chamber of Commerce. We were scheduled to speak in March to the Chamber and get their support to help to make a bill. So, I mean, things take time to get put in place and make things happen. And now that we've done it, the situation is we could have just extended it a year and kept on trying. Because everything has to be done, the entire community has to be educated as to what a community build is. And if you don't know, that means the community comes together, the community provides the funds, the paper, and puts the pieces together to make the thing happen. So, I don't know what to do.
Well, I want to just say, I want to take my hat off to you. I've watched this thing closely. I've seen the amount of time and dedication you personally have put into this, and I applaud you for that. It was a yeoman's effort that you've done, and you've had some good support from a few people.
I've had a fantastic group of people.
You absolutely do. Maybe where we've run into a little bit of a roadblock is that the Army couldn't have gotten bigger. I watched you for a whole week at Denver Fair, gathering leads, and you must have had, what, 50 leads or so there?
Well, more than that.
Yeah. Whatever came of that? Did anybody join in the effort from the?
We had 20 people that want to help build it.
Okay.
But I mean, that's at that end. We also need people to make the committees for getting the food, getting more volunteers, finding different ways to make fundraisers. The thing that we have had, I'm sure you know that you've seen a dog chasing its tail. Well, that's what we're doing right now, because without having the federal tax certification that we are an official 501(c), we can't go out and fundraise, because I can't go to RC and say, hey, contribute. Yeah, sure, I'll sign you a check. Where's my tax rate? Where's my tax statement? Well, we don't have it yet. That's going to make it awful hard to sell. And it could even be the point where somebody might even jump up and down and yell for it. And I'd hate to see that happen.
Well, the recommendation from the board you have before you was to halt the current project. That being said, there's no reason you can't go back to your Park and Rec board and have a serious sit-down discussion with them and try to figure something out.
Yeah.
Now, I think the project was too huge for the amount of people you have, so, doesn't mean that it has to be dead forever. Maybe it can be revamped and revised and, I hate to see all your hours go to waste.
Well, the other thing that I see too is that, again, location being in the Stony Point community, people think, well, gee whiz, it's a great playground for the Stony Point people. But that wasn't the desire at all, because there was 1,500 kids that would have been able to easily support this within a 6-mile radius. And being ADA compliant, that would also bring people that need the special facilities. I've left you the drawings for it here. And it is the Park and Rec's desire to really just end it and do something else later. That's fine. I'll bring all the information I have back to the township, or give it to them.
Can we make a recommendation for you as you're thinking through possible ulterior plans? Back in, I found it. I was looking on my computer and I actually found it. But I live over in Quail Hollow. Yeah, we have our own park there, but back in Quail Hollow, we needed to replace all that playground equipment that was there, because the old equipment that was there, remember that, Tony, was just all rusted, it was all falling apart.